probably not going to believe this. Let me tell you what happened. I met a guy 2 days ago that I met, actually went on one date, sort of kind of two, I'll explain, about 5 years ago. And I run into him or met him. He thought we were meeting for the first time, but we actually went on a date 5 years ago. Let me tell you what happened back then. I was working in sales, like as always, and I worked long hours and I made really good money. Okay, that's important. It's in the backstory. That'll make sense in a minute. And I met this guy. He was really good looking. Oh my geez, he was very handsome, very rugged and sturdy, and he was professional acting, career oriented acting, that sort of thing. So I thought, oh, this guy is fantastic. He had a great smile. I mean, everything about him. I was like, oh my gosh, I definitely want to know him. And he asked me out. He asked me for my number. I gave him my number within, I don't know, very short time, like maybe 4 hours. He called and asked me out on a date. And while we were on the phone and he asked me out on the date, I don't remember if it was like a Thursday or a Wednesday or whatever it was. And I said, can I call you back in about an hour? Let me see if someone else can cover for me at work. And I can be there at 6. I can do that if I get someone else to work, close up for me. And he was like, oh yeah, that'd be fine. So I got off the phone with him. I called someone that worked with me and said, hey, I know that was supposed to be your early day, but can we switch it? I mean, you can still, come in late if you want. I'll work early, whatever you need, so that I can go on this date. And that person said, yeah, that's fine. So I called this guy back and I said, yeah, actually my coworker said they'd be happy to. Yeah, so I can, that sounds great. I'll see you then. So we met at the restaurant, and when I got there, he was not there, and he texted me and said, I'm running a little late, running into some problems at work. I'll be there shortly. I hope it's okay. And it was all very apologetic, so I understood. So I went and got a table. So I sat in a booth and I had a sweet tea and I waited and waited and waited. About 30 minutes went by and he came in all in a huff. Oh, hey, yeah, no, I'm sorry, I'm late, all excited, lots of energy. And I thought, okay, I have a demanding job too, so I understand that shit can happen sometimes. So all was fine. The conversation was fantastic. There was a couple of things that I remember distinctly in that conversation. He told me he had a sister, and that usually on Friday nights that he goes to his sister's house, or his sister and his brother-in-law. They got a big backyard and they like to barbecue and drink beer, and some of their friends play instruments, and every once in a while they'll break open the guitar, and they always have a great time. They don't really he doesn't go to clubs because he usually hangs out at his sister's. It's always a good time. And I thought, oh, that sounds like so much fun. Oh, wow, I want to be invited to that. That sounds like fun, safe fun with like-minded people. That sounds fun, right? So I really took interest in that. I said, wow, that sounds fabulous. Yeah, that's right up my alley. That's the kind of stuff I prefer to do than going out to a club too. And so we had a good talk about that. And then he told me that he had just recently, in the past few months, had gotten a promotion. He was now a project manager. And he told me he kind of dropped it, that he was how much he was making. And I thought, oh, that's fantastic. And he intentionally dropped it like, shouldn't say, but let me tell you how much I'm making. And he said so. And I did not say what I made, because I actually made more than him. And I didn't want to emasculate him. I didn't want to embarrass him. It wasn't a contest. I wasn't trying to one-up him one, but I was making significantly more than him. And that's perfectly fine. That doesn't take away the job that he had, and the salary that he was getting was fabulous. All right. I just was making more than that. That's all. And it doesn't mean his job was less important or mine was more important. Just take a note of this right now. Okay. So all's going good through the date and everything. And then he said, hey, I'd like to make it up to you for being late. Would you like to go out tomorrow night too? And I was like, oh, and we're still on our first date. And I was like, okay. Actually, because of my work, I usually work quite late. Can we do it later in the evening? He was like, I'm usually in bed about 9. I was like, okay, well, I usually don't get done work until about 7. Here, let me make a quick phone call. So I called the same coworker and said, hey, I really hate to be an inconvenient person to you, but would you mind? I'll even buy you lunch tomorrow. I'll bring it to work with me. I'll have it delivered, or I'll take you out for lunch. So, I'll, like, to really thank you. And they like, yeah, no, hey, that sounds good. I'm an expensive date, they said on the phone. I said, yeah, okay. So I got the phone. He's like, what's all that about? I said, oh, I'm going to buy their lunch tomorrow as a thank you for them letting me leave work and them working for me and closing up. And he's like, oh, so that's okay. I said, well, it's not okay, but I can do that a couple of times. I said, but in the future, we probably need to get together on like a Sunday, because I work until 7 and you go to bed at 9. So probably Sunday will probably be our good day to get together, but I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. So he knew that I had made arrangements to leave work, my job. Now remember, only you and I know that my job, I actually make more than him. My salary is significantly more than his. And he doesn't know that, okay? He's just assumed that he's this wildly successful guy, which he is. He was a very wildly successful guy. But I wasn't trying to one-up him in the conversation. So the next day, I leave work. I bought my coworker lunch and everything. I leave work and I rush home really quick, and I fix my hair and put some perfume on and, straighten myself up, and I go to head to the restaurant. And about 10 minutes before we were supposed to meet for this date, he texted me and said, hey, something come up and I can't meet you tonight. I said, oh. I text back, okay, everything all right? Like, because, maybe something that come up was an emergency of family, or this sister that I'm already invested in. I want to be friends with her. Now, I don't know, right? So he doesn't answer me for a little while. I go into the restaurant anyway. I eat dinner by myself. I leave, I go home, and about 9 o'clock that evening, he contacted me in text and said, hey, can I give you a call? And I was like, not really. I'm getting ready for bed. Is there anything I need to know? And because I'm thinking, again, I still don't know what this something came up. I don't know what happened. And he sends me the text, well, I just got really busy. And then I said, yeah, let's talk. So I called him on the phone. And while we were on the phone, he's like, yeah, my career is really demanding. I'm going to need somebody that's understanding, because, you don't make this kind of money without lots of responsibilities. And whatever woman I have in my life, she's going to have to understand all that. And I listened to him and I said, oh. I said, because of and by now I'm offended and a little pissed, but I'm trying to hold my tongue. And I said to him, so if I made more money than you, would that make my career more important and you should bend and sway according to my schedule? And he's like, well, if you did. I said, well, I do. And I hung up the phone, never talked to him again. And I run into him. And he flirted with me. And it didn't take me long to realize that he doesn't even remember going on a date with me. Or definitely doesn't remember that phone call. Now, the reason that was all so memorable to me was because I had romanticized how great he was going to be. I met him. He was handsome. He was good looking. He was articulate. And then he had this great family connection, which I really thought was fabulous. All of those things. So I was greatly disappointed by my own expectations of how wonderful he was going to be, how I romanticized how great he was going to be. But he was really just another one of them jackass guys. So when he flirted with me, I just acted like I was too good to talk to him.